So homework was 5 hours of completely alone, no TV, no working, no music. Did I say no music? Yeah. Gentle walking, but not major exercising. And most people did, who I've spoken to, I'm sure many didn't do it, have tried, and something is better than nothing. Remember, it's not about getting it right. In spirituality, it's really not about getting it right. It's about understanding what's going on with your mind. So if I notice I'm resisting it, or if I notice I'm enjoying it, or if I notice I'm distracted, that's the success. The success is not making the 5 hours. The success is understanding what's going on with our minds. Yeah, because the chapter itself has already told us, mind is our friend. So the better we understand it, the better our growth and our progress, and we know how to be happy then. So somebody got stranded, you know, with all these flights being canceled and all of that. Somebody got stranded in transit, where they don't know too many people. And she said, so I'll do this and I'll switch the phone off. And I said, no, 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 no. When you're stranded in a country where you're not comfortable, you don't know anywhere, the phone's your support. So when we understand, it's not about don't use the phone or use the phone. It's about understanding when I need it and using it when it's necessary, or even when it's giving me comfort that I need. It's not don't do, right? I gave you homework, don't use the phone. No, no, no. It's about be alone, let the phone be there because I'm stranded in a different country. And I know that the phone's giving me support, but no need to play games on the phone to distract myself. So it's not about like forcing control. It's about understanding what I need and even why I need it. Yeah. Right now, I need the phone because it's a new environment and there's so much uncertainty. If I'm sitting at home, yeah, sure, put the phone away. Yeah.
So what about in this 5 hours period, if I can listen and be spiritual talk, is that okay?
See, during our everyday lives, listening to spiritual talk is a beautiful thing to do. Yeah, and we'd rather listen to spirituality and bhajans than listen to, you know, gossip or even all these entertainment channels or all of those things. But see if you can do without. Like I've heard my spiritual dose and now I'm practicing it. And it's not 5 hours. I gave you 5 hours because it's supposed to challenge yourself, right? If I give you 1 hour, it's not a challenge. Most of y'all have been doing enough satsang that 1 hour is not a challenge. So when you challenge yourself, you'll notice I can last 3 hours. I can last 2 hours. That's already success. I already know now what I can do comfortably. So if I can last 2 hours very comfortably, then push it till 2.5 and then leave it. Then push it till 3, then leave it. Please, it's not the details. It's creating the comfortableness in me. And it's very important I'm understanding why I'm doing things. So sometimes people will eat and they understand that they're eating because they're bored. Or they're eating because they're sad. Or they're eating because their friends, you know, made it for them, and then in peer pressure, and then you just get lost in the moment. And so once I understand why I'm doing it, I might still do it for a while, but eventually that understanding of why I'm doing it will make me do it more intelligently. So I'm eating because I'm bored. Okay, then you know what? I'll eat only carrot sticks. Because now I understand why I'm doing it. I'm still doing it, but then I end up choosing something that's a little bit better than eating things like potato chips or something like that, just out of boredom. Not that there's anything wrong with eating potato chips, right? But when I understand why I'm doing, and maybe I want to eat that because that's my indulgence, I'll end up controlling how much. Instead of eating the whole bag, I'll eat one handful. So it's not about do, don't do. It's about understanding why I'm doing it. And then the understanding will lead to me moderating it. You know, moderation can't be forced. I can't measure. I spoke for 3 hours. I didn't speak for 3 hours. I'm balanced. That's not what moderation is. Moderation is within me where the peace is that I can little bit challenge myself further. Only when I'm peaceful and comfortable and happy will I push myself to do more, right? Like even in an exercise class, when I'm already exhausted and panting and the instructor tells me to do more, I don't want to. But if in the exercise class, I'm good. And the instructor gives me an option. We can do 2 minutes, 2 times more, or we can do, yeah, I'll do. I myself will happily push to be better when I'm comfortable and I understand what's going on. So that all these exercises are for that, right? There's no right, wrong, and there's no I failed. That's the good thing about spirituality. There's no I failed. There's just I understood more and I couldn't do it. Doesn't mean I failed. I couldn't do it means this time round, I didn't or couldn't. Next time round, we try again, something else. And even I couldn't do it gives me understanding of myself. So that's also good. So these were the qualities we saw in verse number 10. We saw ekanta. Is that how it was said? No, ekaki is the word used. Solitude. And then control of the body. And we saw nirasha. Free from desire and free from aparigraha, greed. We didn't talk too much about greed, but a little bit we did, right? Enough. Enough we spoke about greed? We did. Okay, so we can go on to verse number 11. So chadesha paritesh, the tune's wrong. So chadesha patishtapyaya. You're not singing, you can sing now, y'all, yeah. Stiram asanam atmanaha. Natyuchittam natenicham. Chailagnya kutastotaram. So socha is cleanliness. Desha. So now this is like our physical preparation for meditation. Actually, most of our preparation for meditation is mental. But this verse is physical preparation for meditation. And then actually it gets taken very elaborately. But in today's world, it doesn't even really matter that much anymore. But this first one matters. Clean, a clean spot. And then a firm seat. So a lot of people will meditate on their bed. Comfortable, convenient. In places like Hong Kong, there's not so much space in the house. I understand. But when the back doesn't have a firm support, it cannot hold itself up. You will end up slouching. Or you'll end up leaning and you're not straight. And so the most important thing is we are straight in the seat of meditation. Now, the reason this is so important is the body and the mind have an incredible connect. And anybody who has done japa or meditation, or even you singing bhajans in a group setting, you'll notice The more concentrated and the more in the present moment you become, automatically your body straightens up. It's not even like a conscious somebody tells you to. Automatically your body will straighten up. The mind becomes peaceful, centered, concentrated, body will become straight, because that's the natural way the body is meant to be. And when it's in its most natural way of it being, all the energies are flowing in a very healthy, dynamic way. And in meditation, we need all the energy to be moving upwards towards our head. Now, gravity, just in terms of science, because we're all familiar with it so well now, gravity is pulling everything down. Even within our body, gravity is pulling everything down. And that's why they'll say, even when sipping water and when eating, don't stand. Sit down and eat, because otherwise gravity is pulling everything down and it works against you. Even when you're sitting, gravity is pulling, but there's a base, so it collects and it supports. But even though gravity is pulling everything down, when we are sitting upright and our energies are flowing in a healthy way, it will flow upwards towards our head. So when our prana shakti is flowing upwards, we feel energetic, dynamic, and alert. When prana shakti is flowing downwards, in tune with gravity, we will get sleepy or tired or like dull. Yes, and I'm sure you've all experienced it in meditation. You're not sure if you slept or if you were awake or what's going on. It's that very blur kind of mood of the mind. So upright helps with the alertness of the attention and the pranic forces going upwards, which makes us energized and even more concentrated. So like I said, body and mind is interconnected. When the mind does get present and focused, body will straighten up, because then body has attuned to the mind. And then once body straighten up, the energy moves upwards, and then it helps us to be even more alert. So cause and effect, and then it becomes like a cycle. But if we already train ourselves to be upright, right? If we make that our natural posture, because remember, posture is also a habit, then the breath is better because the lungs are expanded and the energy is moving more freely. When we slouch in any way whatsoever, it makes it harder for the energy to pass, right? It's like a tube that you squeeze. It will still pass, not that energy won't pass, it will still pass, but it makes it slower and harder and not as free-flowing. So first thing was clean spot. Second thing was firm base, so that we can sit upright. And sitting upright is probably the most important part. So here it says to sit on kusha grass. And then, so first you put deer skin. No, first you put the kusha grass, then you put the deer skin, and then you put a cloth over the deer skin. Please note that Krishna taught this more than 5,000 years ago. None of us sit on animal skin. None of us sit on kusha grass anymore. And none of us need to put a cloth. But when kusha grass was used, because if you were in the forest, then you put grass as a padding between you and the earth, because the earth could be damp. And if the earth is damp, that's not ideal. Or the earth is uneven, so the grass helps to create the evenness of space. Then you put the skin for, again, you keep the bugs out, creates a firm base, and it's warmth sometimes because the earth is cold from the dampness. And then Skin, depending on which one you're using, it can be rough. And so you put a soft cloth so that it's not poking you. You know, if you've ever sat on grass that is pokey, if the slightest movement and you get poked, the whole attention goes there. So like I said, none of us are sitting on animal skin and kusha grass. We are all sitting on carpet, chairs, at the most floors which have tiles. So basically here, make sure it's not cold and it's not uncomfortable. And whatever we are sitting, to make sure it is helping us to stay upright. Now, again, today, most of us are on chairs because back problem, knee problem, or just we don't have the flexibility to sit on the floor. You know, in the old days, they were doing so much physical work and they sat on the floor to eat. They sat on the floor to have meetings. They squatted to go to the bathroom. Body was very flexible. Today, when the Balvihar kids come in and I tell them to sit on the floor cross-legged, half of them, they can't cross their legs. Their knees are like sitting in the air, like they don't have the flexibility because it's not something we do on a regular basis. And so we end up sitting on chair. So sitting on chair is fine. The important part is getting the mind in the right frame. And so sitting on a chair, then remove back support. If you're sitting on a chair, then try and remove back support. Then if it's too uncomfortable, you can go back to back support, but at least for a few moments, try and remove back support. Because invariably, when we use back support, we're not completely in the natural way that the body is meant to be. If you're leaning, that will determine how the body is being held, right? Whereas when I hold myself up, body will adjust itself to where it needs to be. When I'm leaning, body will take the support. It won't pay attention to what it needs. It will take the support. Okay, so clean. It has to be clean. Oh, sorry, one more point here. He says not too high and not too low. So again, this doesn't affect us anymore because we don't live in the forest and we're not so high and we're not so low. People would sit on trees and meditate, or people would sit, even till today, I think in the Buddhist tradition, they do this thing where they sit at the edge of a cliff, you know, and then so if you sleep and you doze off, you're going to fall really far down and it could be, that's it. So they deliberately sit at the edge of cliffs so that they don't sleep. It's a bit drastic. And maybe not in the initial stages of meditation. So it's fantastic tapas though. And so that will be like a yogic practice. When you sit to meditate somewhere where you could fall. And if you fall, or sometimes they do it in water. So if you fall and because when we get sleepy, we tend to lean forward and the head falls, then you'll fall into the water. So there you go. Nobody wants to do that. And then, like I said, none of us meditate this way. But in those days, they used to. So the Gita said, not too high, not too low. For us today, it's just about clean spot, sitting upright. Clean is important. Our physical environment definitely influences the way we are feeling. When we don't have enough sunlight and it's dark, it does affect. We don't feel as, it's day, it's bright, we don't feel as energetic. And it doesn't have to be pretty, but clean is important. And I'm sure you've also noticed that even after you've cleaned the house or somebody else has cleaned the house and you walk in, it feels good. Yeah. And then it helps to have the mind not be distracted. Clean does affect how the mind feels. One, because aesthetics, but also because when there's untidiness or even uncleanliness, it shows laziness on us, that I didn't bother. Right? And a mind that's lazy and didn't clean is not going to have that alertness. You know, in Katha Upanishad, it's described as a razor's edge. The spiritual mind, the spiritual path is like a razor's edge. It's so fine. So it's so easy to fall off, right? Like walking a tightrope. Very, very easy to fall off. Now, if a mind is lazy, it doesn't have that alertness to stay on the rope. It's going to fall off. So if I haven't cleaned, it's lazy. It's just simply lazy. And now in today's world with COVID, we've really understood the necessity of cleanliness. If we don't have hygiene, you know, we're only aware of COVID, but there are so many diseases that come about because of lack of hygiene. And so much of our culture was stay healthy, and so we wash hands. Like, really, did we have to have COVID to teach us to wash hands? It was there in our culture from the beginning of time. Even this idea of don't share food. Why? Spread of bacteria. When you're serving someone, the spoon shouldn't touch the plate. And then you think all these orthodoxies, why we need all these rules. It served a purpose of hygiene. It kept everyone healthy. Because if one person gets sick, it's so easy for it to spread. So when we don't adhere to it, it's us being lazy. So how long ago was SARS? Early days of Hong Kong, right? So like 15 years ago? 10? 203, yeah. So when SARS came in Hong Kong, everyone started washing their hands, right? That was it started in SARS itself. And then SARS finished, the whole thing stopped. COVID came, the whole thing started again. But I remember, I thought I never stopped. Why would you stop washing hands? It's a good habit. Like anywhere you go, wash hands first. It's just a good habit. But unfortunately, we only do good habits when things are bad. And then when things are good, we stop the good habits. But spirituality is you keep doing it. And you keep doing it because if you don't, laziness sets in and unalertness, which is tamas, sets in. So laziness of the body, and I don't do work, but what we have to understand laziness to be here is the mind isn't, right? So in sattva, the mind is like this. You see somebody's expression, straight away you know what it means. When you're in tamas, the person makes a whole face and you're still thinking, why are they looking at me like that? Whereas when the mind's alert, even before the full face gets made, just the slight ishara that there's going to be a face, you already know, oh, what I said wasn't good, change topic quickly. Or correct what I said, or introduce a new comment, explain further. That alertness of mind. is what, so cleanliness has to do with making sure there's no tamas and making sure I'm healthy. So if I've done what I'm needed to do, the mind's free. If I've not done what I've needed to do, the mind won't be free. So if I needed to clean, make my bed, have a bath, and then I didn't do it, it plays on the mind that I didn't do it. And so if that mind's got that little nag, it can't be fully alert. It's slightly distracted. Okay, so cleanliness, not too high, not too low, and a comfortable seat with a firm base. So I can stay completely upright. Tatre kagramana kritva yata chitendriya kriyaha upavishayane sene, upavishasane yunjyat yogam atma vishuddhaye. Okay, then. So outside seat is done. Oh, sorry, before we say that, when I was talking about the chair, feet flat on the ground. Any kind of meditation requires the body to be in balance. So if we have only one leg up, or if we cross our legs, then remember the flow gets affected. So feet apart with feet flat on the ground, so that the flow can, any kind of thing that stops the flow, we don't do. So even people sitting on the chair, sometimes they one foot over the other, right? Or even at the ankles, they cross. So that will stop flow. Okay, now this verse. So physical body done. Any questions on physical body? No. Yoga Shastras focuses a lot on the posture. We can do it now when maybe we'll meditate at the end of the class, then I'll go into the posture. Then the mental preparation. This is the most important part. So firstly here it is saying to make the mind one-pointed. Ekagram, single-pointed would be better translation. Make the mind single-pointed. And to do this, the first thing is withdraw the senses. We saw this in chapter 5 when we saw the last bit. Yata chitendriyaha. Indriyaha has to turn inwards. The indriya are the senses have to be turned inwards. So because we spoke about it at the end of chapter 5, you're all already familiar with it. Upavishyaha. So the sense is controlled, and then the mind also controlled, sitting yogi to purify oneself. That was the 3 instructions. I'm reading my notes, which I don't know when I wrote, so I forgot it. Once we sit correctly, and in fact, a lot of preparation, people will fuss over how they're seating, but what's most important is once we've sat, then what we do with the mind. Make it single-pointed. How do we make it single-pointed? Actually, the mind will become single-pointed quite effortlessly because we do. When we're playing video games, when we're watching Netflix, when we're talking to our friends about some juicy gossip, so single-pointed our mind is. You watch kids also when they're watching TV. Then you call their name and they go, huh? The eyes stay on the TV, only the head moves. So single pointed. But yeah, we don't want to be single pointed on TV and gossip and all of that. We want to be single pointed on something that the word used is purifies us. So what will purify us? Only one thing, the Lord. And so in terms of devotion, the thing we use to keep us single pointed is japa, which is so powerful and so beautiful. And we can talk a little bit about japa today. And then from a Vedanta point of view, what we use is our breath. Let me just see what the verse after this says. We can do that also. We can do that also. Okay, we'll chant the next two verses and then we will actually practice what it's saying. Samam kriya shiro griham dharayan achalam stiraha samprekshya nischigyagram shvam Deshaschana valakshalayan Prashantatma vigatabir Brahmachari vidarstitaha Mano samyam yam munchinto Yukta asita matparaha. So verse 13 was saying to sit straight, which we already spoke about. It's saying Samakaya Sthirogrivam, which is one of the lines that you hear Gurudev, Swamiji, Guruji say all the time. It's keep your body, head, and neck in a straight line. Okay, so we have already spoke about sitting straight. And then Sampeksha. Sampeksha is to look at, and it says here, Nastigramam, on the tip of your nose. And so some people think here, tip meaning the bottom of the nose, but no, it's referring to the top on your forehead where the third eye is. So focus your attention here. We saw this in chapter 5 as well, right? That we bring our attention here to the third eye. We did, right? Yes. And then it's not physically bringing, we spoke about that. It's about bringing attention there. And then verse number 14. Oi, no, we weren't supposed to do 14. We were supposed to do 12 and 13. No, we were. Okay, so we make the mind fearless. For this, we might have to talk about a bit more. Balanced, and then thinking about me. This is the bit that I wanted to focus on. Thinking about me. Okay, all the steps in the last 4 verses. Basically, sit down in a comfortable spot which you have cleaned. So before meditation, we've already cleaned. Cleaned means we've taken a bath, whatever other body cleanliness that is needed in today's world, brushing teeth, all the rest of it. Then usually we will clean that altar. Wherever we are sitting, we will have a small altar. And even in the West, now they have developed this practice. Wherever people are sitting, they create a small altar. They may not have a picture of Krishna and Shiva, but they will put a flame, some diya, some they'll put those Buddhist bells, They put some symbol of peace or the sun or scenery. And whichever culture you see, like if you see the Native American traditions, you see, well, definitely all the Eastern traditions, we have an altar. Even in Zen, there'll be an altar. If it's not a picture of a Buddha, there'll be some symbol, the yin yang symbol, the symbol of the sun, the symbol of balance, or a character that represents peace, concentration, virtue. So basically an altar. For us, growing up in the Indian tradition, we will have one of the forms of the Lord, picture of Guru possibly. We'll definitely have a diya. If you're not allergic, you'll have agarbatti and a flower. If we have one fresh, many countries, we can get one from the garden itself. Here in Hong Kong, not so easy to have garden, but still maybe something to decorate. So before sitting, we shower, then clean altar. So even if it's just dusting, just wipe everything and then sit. Now this little ritual that we do before we sit for meditation helps to prepare the mind. Even though it's physically preparing, it's mentally preparing at the same time. Then once we sit, we scan the body to make sure the body is upright, still relaxed. And then we focus the mind and try and make it single pointed. Like I said, we either make it single pointed with japa or with using the breath. Now in the West, because they don't acknowledge God in the same way, they focus on the breath. So pretty much every meditation app, the 5 top meditation apps are Calm, that Headspace, what's that other one called? Has that circle thing. I listened to about 5, 6, I remember. All of them will use breath because you don't need to believe in God to use your breath. And so in Vedanta, also we use breath. In Vedanta, the idea is oneness of being. So if I focus on Shiva, there's still me and Shiva. There's 2. But I want to focus on oneness. I want to focus on Shiva Aham. I am Shiva. So from a point of view of Vedanta, should I focus on Shiva? Yeah. As long as I know the goal is Shiva Aham. But many students, having gone to the master, were already very attuned, very sattvic, and so they didn't need the form of Shiva. And they could focus on oneness using just breath. For today, in Kali Yuga, highly, highly recommend have an Ishta Devata. Even though every meditation app focuses on breath, it's not enough. It doesn't anchor the mind in the same way as Shiva, Krishna, Ganesha. Because even though the breath is mine, when I'm breathing, I don't think mine, and I don't feel I belong, and I don't feel safe. When I think Shiva, Krishna, I think mine means my God, or I'm his, and there's a sense of safe. And the sense of safe helps the mind stay focused. In the seat of meditation and outside of the seat of meditation. So outside of the seat of meditation, if I get anxious and I focus on breath, it will help 100%, but it doesn't make me feel safe and as anchored as when I feel a sense of belonging and well-being because there's a greater power looking after us. And in Kali Yuga, we need that anchor. And so remember, right, I said in spirituality, it's not about right and wrong. And in spirituality, it's not about being better or worse. It's about understanding what we need and then giving ourselves what we need so that we can improve. We need the anchor. We need Ishta Devata. And when we have that security, we can go beyond. We can get to Shiva Aham very quickly. Whereas when we focus on just breath, then the same as Shiva Aham for just the breath is Soham. Soha, so is that, same as that. What is that? There's no name, there's no form. It's the oneness of all creation. That truth which pervades the entire universe, Aham. I am that truth that pervades the entire universe. I don't know what to focus on. What's that truth? What's the universe? How big? Where? I don't know where to focus. So how to get to Soham when I can't understand what that is? Whereas Shivaham, yeah, I can focus on Shiva. Do I feel Shiva is me? No, no, no. Shiva is Shiva, I am me. No problem. Focus on Shiva. Focus on Shiva, focus on Shiva, focus on Shiva. Mind will get so rooted that it will become Shiva Aham on its own. But when I say Soham, and I don't know what that is, I don't know what to focus on, it will take all that longer to get to Soham. In fact, when I focus on Shiva, Shiva disappears after a while. Anyone who's meditated will have experienced this. Even in bhajans, you're sitting and there's bhajan singing. I mean, we all singing bhajans. I'll close my eyes because the bhajan is so nice and my mind has become so sattvic. The bhajan is about Shiva and I'm singing Shiva Shankara, Shiva Shankara. But now suddenly the mind is so still and so quiet, there's no more Shiva. Shiva disappears. Not that Shiva disappears. The form of Shiva disappears to become formless. And so my mind becomes so still that the form's no longer needed and I'm actually experiencing formless because the mood is there. But when mood is not there, let's say I'm worried about something and then I'm singing Shiva Shankara, Shiva Shankara. Better to think about the form of Shiva because otherwise I'm going to think about what I'm worried about. At least form of Shiva, I know what to think about. I know who he is. When I'm worried about something and you say, think about that, which that which pervades the entire universe, I don't know what to think about. So I will sit and think about what I'm worried about. Mm-hmm. So we need anchor. So we can do breath, but for today, single pointedness will be japa. Okay, we try. Before starting, always stand, stretch. Everybody please stand and stretch. Always stand, always stretch, always do a little bit movement before you sit down. And that's why they used to say clean. When you had to clean your altar, when you had to take a bath, that's movement. And then you sit. Otherwise, the body becomes jada, inert. Yeah. Okay, ready. Sitting down. Unless you practice yoga regularly and you can sit in lotus pose, the asana is called sukhasana, means easy, just gently cross your legs. Make sure it's not too close to your bottom. Make it a little bit further out so that you have maximum base. So you make your base as firm as possible, as steady as possible, without taking support of any back. Hold yourself upright. Gently close your eyes and scan your posture. The Gita said not too high and not too low, but in today's world, it's about finding the balance, whether you're leaning forward or you're leaning slightly backwards. So in terms of your entire spine, really find your base, meaning your sit bone, pressing down on your sit bone so you can lengthen your spine and sit upright. Then gently roll the shoulders back and out. So actually physically do the movement of rolling the shoulders back and out to send the signal to your body to expand your lungs so you can breathe in deeply. And then focus on your neck and your head. Out of habit, because we're constantly looking at our phones and computers, we tend to stick the neck out a bit. So push your chin back, not down, but back. And check to see if the chin is parallel to the floor. Again, out of habit, we might be prone to looking downwards or slightly upwards. So checking your posture once again, sitting upright, shoulders back and out, neck relaxed, jaws relaxed. Take a deep breath in. Slowly, gently breathe out. Take about 3 or 4 deep breaths in. Slow, gentle breaths out. The entire time, be completely present in the deep inhalation, gentle exhalations. We set up an altar outside, and once we close our eyes, we invoke that same divine within ourselves that we have kept at the altar of worship. So God, which is all pervading and at the altar, is also within our hearts. And so the first step is to invoke this divinity. Think of your Ishtadevata and spend a moment or two in his or her presence. This is that moment where you, as though meeting the Lord, your friend, your beloved, your family, your mentor, your guide, your protector, someone you should know intimately. And we can only get to know them intimately if we spend some time. So take a few moments and just be with them, with the Lord. Noticing their loving eyes, their peaceful smile, feeling the divine grace showering you. Then with love and gratitude, bowing down. Letting that image fade away. Bring to mind the form of your guru. An entire lineage may be our guru, whichever form you find the most comfortable. Bowing down. Invoking their guidance. The mantra connected to your Ishta Devata is the one you will chant. For today, we'll chant Om Namah Shivaya. As we chant, you can focus on just the sound of the mantra. If the form also comes, that's fine. But keep your attention on the sound. Within your own mind, chant loudly, not actually out with your mouth, but within your mind, loudly. So to help you to see what I mean, I will chant out loud. Om Namah Shivaya. 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 If the mind is able to stay attuned and focused, let the chanting become slightly softer. Om Namah Shivaya. 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 If the mind is able to stay focused, can go further softer. If the mind becomes restless, go back to chanting louder. Om Namah Shivaya. 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 If other thoughts come, gently bring the mind back to the mantra. Slowly scan the body, ensure it is upright, ensure it's relaxed, and then go back to focusing on the mantra. Om Namah Shivaya. 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 If the mind starts getting restless, go back to chanting louder. If the mind is sattvic and cooperative, you can chant even softer or allow the mantra to fade into silence for longer. Om Namah Shivaya. 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 And staying in that silence as long as you can. And taking a deep breath in. Slowly, gently breathing out. Bringing your hands to your heart in prayer position. Physically bowing down, bringing your chin to your chest. Remembering one's your Ishtadevata. Offering your efforts at his or her feet. Remembering once again your Guru. Offering your efforts at his or her feet. And in whatever way is comfortable to you, slowly bring yourself back out to open-eyed awareness. So this week's homework is 10 minutes every day. So as you saw, a good 3-4 minutes goes into getting into the posture and frame of mind. You sit, you scan, you're aware, you breathe, you think of God, you think of Guru, and then you start. I did it fairly quickly. I think I did take about 10 minutes today. You start loud, always start loud. How loud? Depending on how restless you are. After a while, you'll get the hang of how loud you need to be for your optimum. But we tend to overestimate how much we can do. So start loud within your own mind, right? Bring it softer, softer, softer. And stay in that silence only as long as it is silent. If thoughts start coming, you're not in silence, then don't stay there. Go back to chanting. Go back to check your body or come out. Yep. Any questions?
Thoughts are not coming, but I'm aware of what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's fine. Awareness is great. If thoughts are not coming, it's fine. Stay.
Being aware of knowing what I'm doing means I'm not still.
Yeah, that's fine. We want to be there. We want to be in awareness. That's a good place.
You feeling the energy being pulled up, fine.
You may or may not feel energy. Some people might feel it, some people might not feel it.
Okay, not from here. I feel it from here and the head drops back.
Just bring it back. If the head moves, bring it back to
Bringing it back.
chin parallel to the ground. Right? We sometimes this will happen. It will be sometimes habitual or sometimes, yeah, because we feel You know, our body is very interesting. I should say our minds are very interesting. Because we feel we want to go upwards, we tend to lift our head. But there's no need. It's just the body intelligence trying to make me more focused that we look upwards. So we think of God as something up, but chin parallel to the ground. And what I meant was we tend to do that. I'm exaggerating it. So we have to push it in, right? Not down, just back. Yeah. And then we might go down. Some people tend to look down. Again, I'm exaggerating it. Again, out of habit, because we're looking at our phone so often, we tend to look down. Also in the Eastern world, we are taught to be humble in front of God. And we taught to bow down. And so we tend to look down. Again, it's a conditioning of our mind, but it's chin parallel to the ground. Yeah. It will feel comfortable. If you stay in a good frame of mind, it will feel comfortable.
Form is not coming, but colors are coming.
You're saying the mantra of the form, that's your Ishta Devata, but you can't see the form, is fine. Doesn't matter what you're seeing is. That's why I said focus on the sound. You're not focusing on what you're seeing, you're focusing on the sound of the mantra. If you can't focus on the sound, it's okay, see the form. But ideally, we're focusing on the sound. Any other questions? Okay, 10 minutes every day. So we've understood preparation is clean place, firm base, sit up straight. Invoke Guru is not written in the Gita, but it's an important step for us. Invoke God and Guru, and then make the mind single pointed using japa. These are the 5 steps we are practicing 10 minutes every day. Okay, great. Purnamata Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. This Sunday is Puja Gurudev's birthday. Most of y'all are in places where there's a center. You can attend the puja. In Hong Kong, it's 4:30 in the afternoon. It's also Mother's Day. So y'all can do lunch, y'all can do dinner, and 4 o'clock y'all can come and do Padaka Puja for Guru, who is Mata, and mother and father. And as you'll have guessed, Hong Kong is open again, so we have people here. So I will go back to doing the Aarti live with them and bid you all farewell. Hari Om.
Hari Om. Thank you, Swami.
Hari Om. Thank you, thank you so much, Swamini ji.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hari Om.